The spotlight of Hollywood and the world of fashion has always dazzled us with faces we thought would remain timeless. But behind the radiant smiles on red carpets lies a darker truth. The desperate desire to hold on to youth and admiration has driven many stars down a road with no return. Plastic surgery, once seen as a key to confidence and perfection, became for some a mirror of tragedy. Faces that once captivated millions are now remembered as haunting reminders of the price of obsession. In this video, we'll uncover the stories of 7 of the most famous celebrities whose transformations shocked the world. Their journeys aren't just about changing appearances, they're about the emotional battles and broken identities left behind. 1. Michael Jackson. No other name in music shines brighter than Michael Jackson. He was the child prodigy of the Jackson 5, the young boy with a tender smile and an angelic voice that would one day crown him the king of pop. But while the world saw perfection in his talent, Michael saw only flaws in his reflection. It began in 1979 with a simple rhinoplasty after an accident. That one operation opened the door to a lifetime of transformations. Surgeons, scalpel in hand, would eventually alter nearly every corner of his face. His nose, his cheekbones, his chin, even his skin, changed, reshaped, bleached, over and over again. Experts believe he underwent more than 100 procedures. Each one was not a step toward beauty, but a desperate attempt to escape the image in the mirror. Over time, Michael became unrecognizable. His face no longer reflected his race, his heritage, or even his humanity. He looked like a living mask, trapped between the desire for perfection and the fear of being himself. In trying to erase what he thought were imperfections, he erased his very identity. Michael Jackson's story is not simply one of cosmetic surgery. It's the tragedy of a man who tried to rewrite his soul with a scalpel. 2. Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace was born into a dynasty of glamour. She inherited not just a fashion empire, but the responsibility of carrying the Versace name into the future. For many, she became a symbol of power, extravagance, and unapologetic style. Yet, over the years, her face began to tell a very different story, one of excess, vanity, and the dangerous allure of the operating room. Her skin appeared unnaturally tight, her lips overfilled, her features frozen in place as though she were sculpted from porcelain rather than living flesh. Surgeons and critics alike pointed to Botox, fillers, facelifts, implants, an entire arsenal of cosmetic interventions. By 2014, her image had caused a stir, with some remarking that she looked more like a digital creation than a real woman. What shocked people most wasn't what had been done to her, it was what could never be undone. The more Donatella tried to preserve her youth, the further she drifted from natural beauty. Behind the name Versace, behind the wealth and luxury, lies an uncomfortable truth. Forced beauty doesn't inspire, it unsettles. Donatella didn't transform into an icon of eternal youth. She became something else entirely, a warning about what happens when the pursuit of perfection goes too far. 3. Simon Cowell. For decades, Simon Cowell was the sharp-tongued king of reality TV, a man whose sarcasm and unshakable confidence made him both feared and admired. Audiences tuned in not just for the talent on stage, but for Simon's brutal honesty. His face was once as recognizable as his voice until 2023, when something changed. It wasn't a new show or a scandal that shocked fans. It was his appearance. Simon admitted publicly that he had gone too far with cosmetic procedures. Botox, fillers, facelifts, layer upon layer until his face lost its humanity. His once expressive features froze into an eerie mask, his skin shiny and stretched, almost as if lifted from a horror film. The harshest reality check didn't come from the press or the viewers. It came from his own son, Eric, who burst into tears after seeing him. The boy didn't recognize his father and refused to come near him. That moment cut deeper than any critic's words, forcing Simon to scale back. He began removing fillers and turning to healthier routines, but the damage could never be completely reversed. Simon Cowell didn't just try to look younger, he tried to outsmart time. And in the end, he lost to the very mirror he once ignored. 4. Linda Evangelista. In the 1990s, Linda Evangelista wasn't just a model, she was the model. Her face graced over 700 magazine covers, defining beauty for an entire generation. She once famously declared she wouldn't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day, but decades later, that same face became the source of her deepest pain. In 2016, Linda underwent a series of cool sculpting treatments, a non-invasive procedure marketed as a safe way to freeze away fat. What promised sculpted perfection instead delivered a nightmare. Her body developed hard, painful lumps, and her skin warped into unnatural shapes. The diagnosis, paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, a rare, irreversible side effect. The woman once celebrated for her flawless beauty disappeared from public life. For years, she hid, consumed by shame and isolation. When she finally spoke out in 2021, her confession was devastating. "I am permanently disfigured. I am unrecognizable. I have been trapped in my own body." The fashion world was stunned. A muse who once embodied perfection was now a victim of its cruelest illusion. Linda Evangelista's tragedy wasn't vanity. It was trust betrayed by a promise of effortless beauty, and no scalpel in the world could undo the damage. 5. Mickey Rourke. In the 1980s, Mickey Rourke was Hollywood's ultimate bad boy, a heartthrob whose rugged charm and smoldering gaze made him one of the most desired men on screen. He was more than an actor. He was an icon of raw masculinity. But behind the fame, Rourke chased another passion, professional boxing. And that decision would forever alter not only his career, but his face. Years in the ring left him battered and broken, fractured noses, shattered cheekbones, a disfigured jaw. To repair the damage, Rourke turned to plastic surgeons. 5 nose jobs, cheekbone reconstruction, multiple lifts and fillers. But instead of restoring his looks, each surgery seemed to push him further away from the man the world once adored. The actor himself later admitted, "I chose the wrong surgeon." What was meant to be healing became a slow unraveling of his identity. Today, the handsome rebel of the 80s is nearly unrecognizable, his once striking features replaced by scars of failed attempts to turn back time. Mickey Rourke didn't lose his beauty to age. He lost it to a desperate battle against the inevitable. His story is a portrait of tragedy, not just of a man's face, but of the high price of trying to outfight life itself. 6. Katie Price. Katie Price never tried to hide her surgeries. In fact, she turned them into her personal brand. From her early days as a natural model to becoming a tabloid sensation, Katie embraced plastic surgery with a boldness few celebrities dared to show. It all began in 1999 with a dramatic breast augmentation, taking her from a 32B to a 32DD. From there, the procedures multiplied. Nose jobs, facelifts, Botox, lip fillers, an endless cycle of transformations. By 2019, her breast implants alone weighed nearly 2 kilograms each. Her appearance changed so much that at times people didn't even recognize her. Some surgeons expressed concern over the frequency of her operations, warning of the toll it could take. But Katie never apologized or denied it. She proudly called herself completely plastic, insisting that surgery was her form of empowerment. Yet beneath the bravado lies a haunting question. When every part of the body can be reshaped, what remains of the original self? Katie Price may have built her identity through surgery, but in the process, she blurred the line between empowerment and obsession. 7. Jessica Alves. Jessica Alves, once known to the world as Rodrigo, has lived her life under the knife in ways few could imagine. Her obsession began as a teenager, driven by a dream of sculpting herself into perfection. At first, she sought to become the human Ken doll, a living replica of the plastic toy. But her journey didn't stop there. She underwent surgeries most people can't fathom, removing ribs to slim her waist, inserting false abdominal implants, endless facial procedures. By the time she embraced her transition into womanhood, her body had already become a battlefield of identity and reinvention. With facial feminization, breast implants, and countless touch-ups, the total cost of her transformation is said to exceed €700,000. Today, Jessica presents herself not as Ken, but as a hyper-feminized Barbie. To some, she's a symbol of self-expression and courage. To others, a living warning of obsession pushed to the edge. As her features grow more exaggerated, one question lingers: how much more can the human body endure? Jessica herself admits the journey isn't over. And maybe that's the most unsettling part, not knowing when or if she'll ever stop. From Michael Jackson's tragic transformation to Jessica Alba's ongoing reinvention, these 7 stories reveal a haunting truth. Plastic surgery is never just about the body. It can become a mirror, reflecting fear, loneliness, and the desperate hunger for acceptance. For some, like Linda Evangelista, it was trust in a promise that turned into betrayal. For others, like Donatella Versace or Simon Cowell, it was the refusal to let time have its say. And for figures like Katie Price and Jessica Alba, it became an identity, one carved, stitched, and injected into existence. The pursuit of beauty can inspire, but when it crosses into obsession, it leaves scars that no surgeon can erase. These faces remind us that perfection is an illusion, and the cost of chasing it can be far greater than anyone imagines. So now we ask, where is the line between desire and destruction? Between self-expression and self-erasure? Perhaps the greatest beauty lies not in changing who we are, but in learning to accept it. If you found these stories powerful, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more untold truths behind the lives of the famous.